Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest-running sales training podcast in podcast history. My name is Bryan Neal.
My name is Bill Caskey.
We have been here every Monday for 17 years. What a great ride. It's been so much fun. You know, we're celebrating birthday month. That's part of our topic, and we've had such a great time. We've had people that have been listening since day one, which is just amazing, isn't it? And we've had people who just found us. I just talked to someone and said, I just found you. I said, good luck. You've got 16 years and 11 months to catch up.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. Lots of fun, lots of great guests over the years, lots of great advice, lots of programs. We've got the Insider rolling right now. And we just really, really love our audience and what we do. And we're really lucky to be able to bring this show to you every week.
You know, I remember one time when we were up in Chicago, you and I together. I can't remember what it was for, but
Knoll Textiles.
Could have been Knoll.
I
think it was maybe.
No, it wasn't.
Anyway, it was really early, and we started talking about radio and recording and, you know, the radio station. We started talking about, I used to love it when we used to do this. And you're like, you did that too. I did that. And there was, and I'm kind of a geek when it comes to stuff like that. So the other day we were driving, and I said to my wife, Jane, remember the days when we used to know where cars were from in Indiana because the license plate noted the county by number. So there's 92 counties in Indiana, and it went alphabetical. So if you had a license plate 1A777, 1 denoted the county.
Yes.
And I went through.
Which was Adams.
County. Yeah, okay, there you go.
You're welcome.
To
us.
I went through, I bet I got 75% of them. I started with 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way
Allen
through.
County, Fort Wayne.
There was 2, Allen County.
3, Bartholomew, Columbus. Keep rolling. Let's go.
4, I did not know. 5 is Brown, 6 is Decatur. Anyway, I could go on. But
same. It's an Indiana thing for you listeners. But
it is an Indiana thing. And then I thought, why do I remember those?
I know.
What part of my brain is still being populated by crap that does not matter?
I'm from Evansville. Do you know what Evansville was? Vanderburgh County.
Vanderburgh County, 84.
82, very close. 84 was Vigo County. That's Terre Haute.
Okay, 84 is Vigo.
So those of you listening to this, if you're from Indiana, you're like, oh my God, these guys are old and legit because this is like a real deal. This was a thing in our state. It really was. Really.
Now, do you know that a lot of unmarked cars were from 45, unmarked police cars?
That was...
it's up north. It's... the Hammond, Gary,
yes.
Lake, could be Lake County.
Well, let's see, Lake Marion, yeah.
Because Marion's
49 was Marion, correct?
We're born. We got to move
53 was Morgan. That's Martinsville was 53.
No.
Monroe, my fault. My
55
bad.
was Morgan.
Thank
53.
You. Monroe, thank you.
So you Hoosier, old Indiana people will remember that. And
yes. For those of you old, and the rest of you like pass forward, they already passed it. The rest of you already passed it. Like, when are they going to start talking about the topic and shut up about this stupid Indiana license plate stuff?
Okay, so I did a video here a couple of weeks ago where I told the group that we were celebrating our September's birthday month. We had a couple of comments. Dave Price said, happy birthday to the first, longest running, and best in my humble opinion. BD Dalton said, thanks for the fun times. You guys are a Monday ritual. That's cool.
That's nice.
Randy, congratulations. Ute, we're going to come back to his.
Yeah.
Mark, we're going to come back. Mark Reinecke said, thanks so much for sharing great stuff. You've made a positive impact on thousands of salespeople. I'm grateful to be one of them. Awesome. Billy Sue said, you make me happy.
No, it's nice.
I love listening to your podcast on long walks, but also because you're both charming and entertaining.
How nice is that?
Ashley said, I think you know her. Ashley, I can't even fathom the number of episodes I've listened to, nor can we fathom the number we've done on drives and flights. I barely knew what a podcast was 17 years ago, so I applaud the intuitive. Sarah says, when I worked in sales, your podcast accompanied me every morning and evening commute. I still dip in from time to time. David, happy birthday. Can't believe it's been 17 years. Thanks for all the memories. You guys are consistent with your messages. No one has all the answers. You respond. Bruce said, thing I've learned from the podcast, detach from the outcomes. I love to hear that over and over and over because I need to be reminded.
Good.
So we want to take a couple of these where people have actually asked us for some advice. And let's go back to Ute, who's from Germany, I believe.
Yes.
He says, love your podcast. Would love to hear some ideas on how to finish strong in 2023.
Love it, Ute.
So So let's
He's
do
asked
that
us
one
questions
first.
before, correct?
Pardon me?
I think Ute's asked us some questions before. He may have even sent in an audio question in the past.
Oh, he might have. Yeah, he might have.
I think.
Yeah.
Was a great question. And as we were preparing for this, we prepared for days for these episodes, as you all know. We're like days we're preparing for the show. I'm sorry. I meant minutes. And I said, this is a topic we've done several times in the past, and one of those evergreen topics that you just need to hear each year, don't you? Just how to finish strong.
You do.
So
you do.
We'll do. I'll give you a couple of my ideas, Bill. Maybe you give.
Yeah, I've got one. Go ahead.
I'll give. So I'm a huge fan. I'm just starting to do this with my clients. The first step for this for me is to separate open opportunities into in the year for the year, in this year for this year. One of my clients gave me that phrase, and 2024 deals.
Yeah.
And just make two lists. And if you have 25 open opportunities, make two lists, and you say, okay, of these 25, I've got 11 in this year for this year, and I've got 14 that are probably 24 deals, and start there. And then that becomes, that gives you immense clarity on what to work on first. So that's the first step. It's real easy. Don't overthink it. You'll know, you'll get deal momentum. You'll have indicators. You'll be in a certain stage of the process that'll say, I can still get this thing done before the end of the year. And then there'll be others like, you know what, long shot, I'm going to bump them into 24.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. The thing that you put in there, I think that I want to capitalize on is this idea of the plan. Here we are, end of September-ish, if you're listening to this when it goes live. And so we've got 3 months, probably 2 months really, because December's rough, but let's just say 3 months. And I think it would be useful to take a half day, get away from the office, get away from distractions and screens, and just spend a few hours planning out. Start to make those lists, like Bryan said. Immediate opportunities, next year opportunities, people you haven't spoken with in a while, people you haven't. I've got several people that I've got proposals out to, quasi proposals, and I haven't heard back, nor have I called them back. And so those are the kind of people you want to make sure you have a list of all those things, and that the list that you create is probably going to be done pretty quickly because a lot of it's outreach, a lot of it's checking in with people. I would also say on that planning document, you want to say, what am I going to do in the next 30 days? Not just client stuff and prospect stuff. What am I going to do to get ready for 2024? Because we can't ignore that too. I don't want to get to middle of December and say, well, we haven't done anything. So start to think about some tasks that will get you ready for next year. Some task, like you said, that'll finish off this year strong. But I think the plan is the main thing. And most, I know this is going to be offensive to some. Most salespeople aren't very good at planning. And I think we need to get back to that, especially during these crucial moments of the year where we've got 75 days to really get the numbers up and finish strong. I think a plan is job number one for you.
I love that. I actually love your idea, Bill. I actually love the taking the time off as much or more than the plan. The half a day to step away and go, okay, I got 3 months to go. Let me sort out my stuff, get it together. I mean, I definitely want to plan, but just having the discipline and or the desire to take the half a day and look at that as productive, not a day off. Right? It's a focus. Like we're going to get ready to roll here, and then it's like ready, break, go. I love that.
And it could be a whole day. I mean, I think if you're not used to taking that kind of time off, probably a half day. I would suggest you take a half day at the end of each month, planning the next month. But for a quarter, I think you'd use at least a half day. Get in the groove of blocking out, and then do that for October too. The last week in October, take a couple hours. It's planning month for November. You'd be shocked at how much you can get done when you have a list of things to do.
Yep,
that's it. You'll also be shocked at how much time we can waste, and I'm guilty of that if there's no plan. So
best part about the plan for me is the stuff I'm not going to do. Is deciding like whatever, like we did the deal list, and the deal list is at 2040. Like, you know what? I'm just going to let that one sit. Let it be. It just clears you up. It's
but
really
you're consciously doing it rather than just at default. You default to no behavior.
All intentional. I made a conscious choice.
Yeah.
Okay. What's who's your next question?
Go to the next question. Okay.
Yeah.
Did we finish that for Ute?
I think we did. Yeah, we're going to get to a couple of questions.
Okay.
I feel like it's.
There was one here about
One of them's kind of tough to answer.
Oh, I think one, I don't see it here, but I think you can characterize it as partners and strategic partners.
That's what it is. Yeah. So yeah, one of our commenters asked, and he said something to the effect of like, "Hey, age-old question, I know, but how do I maximize my results selling through manufacturers, distributors, a second or third tier person or group? So if I work for a manufacturer that makes something, but I sell my product through distributors, how do I, maximize that share of space?" So, can I start with that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my thought there is, I think everyone in these roles, and this doesn't apply to everyone, I understand, but there's still some takeaways for I think anyone listening here, even if you don't sell through a third party or a secondary party, is you have to step back and ask yourself and kind of do 3 concentric circles. At the core, my product is my offering. That's feature functiony stuff. Outside of that is the processes that I have and the ways to do business and the ways that I can help and serve people. Like that could be like customer experience sort of stuff. But on the external is how can I help and add value to these people's lives in general that may not have anything to do with that thing that I sell. So if I sell a component, an electronic component that goes into a transmission, and I'm calling on the transmission manufacturer, most people spend all their time on 2 things. One is what my component does better than my competitors, and 2, how much it costs.
Yeah.
And that's all the value you bring. That is not valuable to people. They can look that stuff up.
Yeah.
Instead, think outside. What are they struggling with outside of the components that I sell? Are they having logistics, transportation issues? Because I have some friends in the logistics business I could connect them to. Are they having hiring issues? Do I know someone that can provide? I've got a person that specializes in recruiting for veterans and retired military people. There's just anything you can do outside of what you do. And that's the part that people miss. They're so hyper-focused on their thing and how much it costs. And that's it. It's got to expand past that. That's how you keep attention from others, by sincerely showing them that you're interested in their overall well-being.
That's really good. That's good. So rare.
So rare.
We just get in the
It's what I do. Yep.
Mentality of how can I sell them stuff, and we're not even building relationships that maybe have nothing to do with us. When you said that, I was thinking that if you have, I assume that most people who are listening that have strategic partners or channels or whatever you want to call them, they have a list of those people. Hopefully you have a list. So if you want to send an email, you don't send it to the direct people, you send it right to the strategic partners. And the question is do you really know their business? Do you know what they're struggling with? So make a list of things that is outside. I would say make a list of all the things they're struggling with. And then, like I've got an example of this. You know Jeff Worrell. Do you remember Jeff?
Of course I know Jeff, yeah.
He did a podcast. He was selling to physical therapists. I may have told the story before. Physical therapists in Indiana, and he was selling supplies. And he started a podcast where he would invite people onto his show who worked with physical therapists in marketing and business development and financial accounting, those things that he didn't do. He was a supply guy. But guess what? People always his physical therapy prospects and customers always tuned in because they were going to learn something. And guess what? He's in the middle of it. He's the host.
So good.
And I think that's an example of, he could have talked about supplies, but how can you talk about supplies? You could, but it's better if you're bringing value to your strategic partners that may or may not have something to do with you. It may have something to do with you. And if it does, do a panel discussion, invite them to a panel discussion where you bring in a couple of experts. It's easy to do panel discussions because everybody wants to be on a panel.
Thank you for saying that.
They don't have to carry the load. They can be there. They can get their sweet picture in the thumbnail. But think about doing a panel discussion for your industry, and you might talk about your products, but you also bring other people in.
I love that you said it's easy. It is so hard to justify a small little feature in my product and or my price, and that's all I got. Like in Jeff's case, he's got equipment that the PTs use and stuff. So does everybody else have the same equipment?
That's
yeah.
right.
Well, ours is like extra padding. Well, ours is pretty good. You know, how much is yours? It's $400 more. Yeah, it's not worth it. But that's really hard to do. That's really hard. You know what's really easy? To call someone and say, hey, do you want to be on a panel to talk about marketing and growing patient counts for physical therapists? Yeah, correct. I'd love to. So then all you got to do is ask the questions. So Bill, what should I do about if I'm a PT and I'm trying to find more patients? Give me 3 tips.
Absolutely.
It's so easy and so differentiating.
It's kind of a side door. I wouldn't use the word backdoor. It's kind of a side door in. Now you develop a relationship with this person, and there's a reciprocation there. So you've had them on your show or whatever it is, and now they say, Jeff, I see all your emails. Have we ever bought anything from you? No.
I know. It's right. It's going to come up.
Send one of your people in.
What exactly do you do? How'd you get into this podcasting thing? Well, actually, I sell equipment to. You sell equipment PTs? Well, what kind? Right? The way it goes.
Yeah.
So good.
So that's one way to think about that. So anyway, does that give? I think
that's good. Yep.
Person enough?
So we got one more.
Let's
spread the love here to the rest of the group here.
Well, it looks to me like one of the most common things is an uncensored podcast where you drop S-bombs or other bombs. And
someone wanted me to cuss.
Adam said, ASP after dark.
ASP after dark.
I love that.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that. There's a lot of filtering that goes on. If you heard Bill and I speak to each other as friends and colleagues off air, none of it is printable without the NC-17. Or, so what do they call it now? What is it called? Not vulgar. What is it called?
Explicit.
Explicit. Has a little E. We intentionally years ago went away from the E rating, even though it's against both of our DNA. It's an art to cursing. I think the last one had to do with finding a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got Christopher Schmid. Congratulations to the OGs of Sales Training Podcasting. Happy birthday from Paula. Bob Gensler. Congratulations. Still refer to my copy of email at regular basis. Okay. Awesome. So let's do. I don't see the one you just mentioned, but
yep. Yeah. So the last one was, can you just give some advice on finding a job? There are a lot of people right now who are looking for a sales gig. Been a lot of riffing, as they say, reduction in force. I love when people call no one calls it getting fired anymore.
Oh no.
Right. Because it had nothing. I love too. People say it had nothing to do with your performance. Had nothing to do with you at all. This was just, the reduction. We had to, make some choices that were tough. We want to keep all of you. Well, that's not true, because
that's not true at all.
Unless they fired their entire sales team, there's a reason they fired you and kept another person. I'm not saying that to be mean, just trying to be real. And it frees you up to do your next gig.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it's not firing. It's just, you're tired. You're
done. Right.
You're done.
Exactly.
The company is not keeping up, and the culture is rotten, and you want to get out. So what kind of advice would you give to people who are in that mode of maybe the search?
I love the Bill and I always talk about we can't say the thinking stuff, the feeling stuff, but we can't say the word.
Is he dead yet?
No. I don't know.
I need a Google alert for an obituary.
That is such a great idea. That's the idea of the day right there. Those of you who are long-term listeners know who we're and what we're talking about. Anywho, so the first is you got to get your head, heart, and soul right. You just do. And even though I said, look, you got fired and they kept someone else good, and that's all okay. And you got to say that was that experience, and that experience is over. Take inventory of yourself and say, what do I love to do? What do I rock at? And go find that thing. And that's what you do, and get super clear on it. And your tour of duty's up at the last place. Yeah. Don't spin it, and don't pretend, and don't just own it. And I think that vulnerability and that realness and authenticity will show itself well, and will find you to your next thing.
Yeah.
That's my first bit of advice on that one.
Yeah. My point B to that is don't be invisible, don't be obscure.
Good. Yeah.
I've got a example. I don't want to go into it because it's a family member, but looking for a job in another city and hasn't done anything on LinkedIn, hasn't started planting those seeds so that when he or she, I know if it's he or she,
I know he or she, they
is ready, that offers will be coming in. And so if you're working for somebody now and you're thinking, you know what, the next year I need to move, start now with your LinkedIn profile, posting on LinkedIn, be visible. Don't be invisible, because you'll never get opportunities that way.
So true. And you know how upset and bothered you're going to be if someone, you run into them and say, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm actually looking for, you're looking? I didn't know you were looking. Well,
Right.
I just hired someone. I literally made the offer 3 weeks ago. And you're going to blame some other, you're going to be like, well, they did. Yeah. They're just bad timing. Like, no, I love it, Bill. Be out there. Make yourself visible. Yes.
There's nothing wrong with buying a website, having a website with your name on it, and put everything there. So when someone says, hey, can you send me your resume? Yeah, but I can also send you this link to a page where I've got a lot of content on it. And now you're not competing with anybody else, because nobody's doing that.
Do that.
And you say, well, I don't want to spend $1,000. Well, if you make $100,000 a year, the next 10 years are going to generate 1.5 million. I think it might be worth $500.
Yeah, you think,
for you to build something that can be your brand, can be part of your brand, so that people you'll get better offers. You'll probably make it back just with your first offer.
Yes. So, and don't. I think so many people have they carry a little bit too much entitlement in the job search, and I'm not saying to cower down to people. What I am saying is show up with a healthy confidence that can also remove some risk from someone. The point being, you might say, look, I'll do this. And, if I don't get to this level of performance, I'll leave before you let me go. Just own some stuff around that, or say, I can guarantee you I will be a positive return or something like that. I don't want to just like talk about it. No. What I don't want to do is come in and say, well, I command a $90,000 base salary and I have to make up to 150, and you just got fired from your job. I'm like, exactly. I'm like, okay, be careful on that, have some balance there, some confidence, but also some humility, and be willing to take a little bit of risk to remove risk from somebody else. Yeah. And work a deal. Good. That's very appealing to people who are looking for salespeople.
It's a unique approach.
To take some risk. Yeah.
And you need to get creative with this, because they get, people who are looking will get 35 resumes from Indeed or wherever they look. Yep. And if you can be unique, at least you get your resume set aside on another pile, and that gets you access to a meeting. And then during the meeting, make this offer. Look, here's the way I look at this. If I can't make the numbers in 90 days, I shouldn't. I mean, whatever. However you're going to do that.
Whatever.
It's a courageous move. You got to be good, and if you're going to make that offer, you got to work your butt off in the first 90 days to make sure that happens.
Love that.
But
love it.
You will. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good birthday post. Good job putting that video up, Bill. And
thank you. Thanks to all our listeners too. We'll probably do maybe one more on birthday month. But thank you and if you have anything that you want to share with us, or want a question answered, make sure you go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn. If you're not a member of the group, join the group and then post your question there. And we have somebody that reads those, and we'll answer them. And send us an email, video or audio file, wishing us a happy birthday, or any little note you want to say. We'll put a little compilation of those. That's listener@advancedsellingpodcast.com. We'll remind you to do that here for the next couple of episodes. Use your first name, birthday. Yeah, got it. Yeah, be real. Initial. Yep. Don't give away your identity. Okay, good stuff. See you next time. Bye.